What's up, guys? Today on the VC Brewery Show, I interview John Gonzalez from Leashless Brewery in Ventura, California. Great interview. Listen how he turned his love for surfing and his passion for organic living into a brewery that specializes in organic beer, low gluten beer to allow everyone with whatever dietary concerns they have enjoy beer. Anyway, check it out. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think, and enjoy the video. John Gonzalez from Leashless Brewing in Ventura, California. Thank you for taking time to sit down with us. You are, from what I've researched in the area, the only organic brewery here in the county.
Yeah.
And you guys put that at the forefront of everything you do, along with your love for surfing and the beach and the area that you're that you guys are located in. Why don't you let us know the official story of what Leashless Brewing is all about and how you guys started?
Sure. I mean, you're right. We are the only certified organic brewery between Santa Cruz and San Diego. And when you think about like the number of breweries that exist right now in this country, easily 10,000, and there's probably mid 30s, tops, maybe 40 breweries that are legitimate, certified organic. That's all we make. So it's definitely a very small group of us that have this focus and this mindset. I'm not exactly sure, not naive to think that everyone has it for the same value propositions as we have. Maybe some just see profit in it. But for us in particular, it's been more like a life's journey, taking and finding out more about who we are and what we value and transcribing that into the things we love and then turn that into a business. So I've been a surfer since mid 90s. I grew up in Carpinteria, just down the road. And I've always loved the ocean, and that connection with the ocean took me surfing, scuba diving, free diving. It really drove what I chose as an academic pathway with the marine sciences and whatnot. It enabled me to go travel and surf various spots throughout the world, live in different spots, and ultimately made me one day realize that the way I was living, even though I thought it was healthy, wasn't healthy because it was still eating and consuming a lot of conventional materials. You know, books like The Omnivore's Dilemma or Food Inc. These types of, I'll call it media avenues or whatnot, helped me to kind of realize that if you want to really live a nice, clean, simple, healthy lifestyle, organic is the fundamental basis of everything. It's really interesting when you think about the fact that prior to World War II, everything was organic, and we didn't even have to label it organic. It's just the way it was. So white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter if you pick trash or you're a mud rucker or whatever, cleaning the horse stalls, or you were just super wealthy. Like we all ate and lived the same way because there was no other option. It was just the way it's always been. As I'm going through this awakening period, I'm also a home brewer, and I'm winning awards at like MCAT, Masters Championship of Amateur Brewers and stuff like that. And I started toying around with the idea of opening a brewery and moving back home. I was living on the East Coast at the time. And I still have this dream, this romantic idea of whatever I'm doing for work, I'm in board shorts and sandals, maybe in between surf sessions, something like that. So I thought, let's do this. Let's open up a brewery. We'll move to Ventura, close enough to home where I could visit family, but I don't have to worry about the family walking in a block from where I live and saying, "Hey, mijo, what are you doing?"
Right.
You know? Great surf here in Ventura. And Ventura, and let's face it, it's one of the last affordable beach towns in Southern California in general. We've got great weather year round. We've got the North Pacific version of the Galapagos Islands within 14 nautical miles from us. Great surf almost year round. And it's just another small beach town where if you're here long enough, you start to know everyone. And sometimes I'll paddle out and I'll hear this, hey, Leashless is in the crowd. It's like, oh, dang, now I really can't screw up. Someone's identified me. And it's so cool because we're such a small town that everyone does know everyone. And that's just kind of what I love about being here in Ventura. So, you know, we set up the brewery and we had to be certified organic. It's what I wanted because that's how I live. And through this the growth of the business, it became more of like a no-brainer that in the absence of having some sort of media to inform you about the importance of organic versus conventional, the fact that in our lifetime, like Andres, do you remember when the phone used to be hung on the wall?
Yeah, for sure.
It had a string before internet. And it's just so mind-boggling that here we are in 2021 and 40 years ago, 30 years ago even, geez, maybe 25 years ago, we didn't have the internet as we knew it today. Yep. Instagram didn't exist. You still kind of had to know people to be introduced to people and whatnot. And so it's easy to forget how life used to be. But when you realize about how the impacts, the positive impacts of choosing an organic lifestyle, it's almost like a no-brainer. I mean, organic uses 30% less water, 40% less carbon, around 45% more, I got that backwards. It sequesters about 40% more carbon and uses about 40% less energy. So when you're thinking about, geez, we're California. Since I was a kid, we go through droughts every 3-5 years. And we're talking about how do we sequester carbon and keep it from going in the ozone. Organic is super simple and it's effective, and it's the way it's always been. So how do you get people to say, oh, this is a cool idea. Let's start buying some organic lettuce today when we go grocery shopping versus conventional, and break that habit that we've developed over time for no other reason than that's just kind of what you do. You know, you go to the grocery store, you buy stuff. And I thought, well, beer. It's one, I like beer. I love Belgian beers in particular, but still beer. And everyone likes beer, right? You had a hard day at work, let's go get a beer. You had a great day, you want to go meet some friends or whatever, let's get a beer. Finish surfing, beer and tacos. You just got some time to kill, let's go get a beer. You got to study, let's have a beer. I just keep thinking about all the ways to have beer. You're hungover, let's go chase the hair of the dog and have a beer.
Yeah.
So if you can make really good beer, people will come in and they'll have it, and then they'll say, wow, this beer's really good and it's organic. Wow, super cool. And so now we got them thinking, wow, this is really good beer, and this brewery has really good beer, but this beer is organic and this one's not. And so you start to have this subconscious value proposition going on in your head about, well, it's good, but this is a little better because the quality is good. And we hear a lot too that people will say, hey, I can have 6-year beers, 5-year beers, and I'll wake up feeling fine the next day. And I could be hungover or have a headache if I drank other people's beers. And you hear this enough, and the idea like, well, this is just anecdotal, goes away. And then you start to realize, wow, this is probably pretty legitimately true. And the organic beer, the fact that we're using organic grains, organic hops, even our yeast has to be organic, certified organic. It means we don't have these pesticide residues that cling to the outer surfaces of whatnot, whether it's the grain or the hops. And maybe that's contributing to a consumer's ability to wake up the next day after having a few and not feeling so slow. So, I mean, all this really just tells me that we are slowly helping people awaken to the fact that organic beer can taste good and not that expensive. At least on the consumer side, it's bloody expensive for us to make, but I have this romantic idea that like before World War II, at some point, it doesn't matter what you do, blue collar, white collar, you're a stay-at-home parent or you're single or whatever your lifestyle choice is, you can afford organic beer, and it's not some elitist thing that other entities have tried to make organic to be, because I'm not an elitist type of person. I came from a poor Mexican family. They worked very hard so that we can have what we have. And that's kind of the way I feel. It's just, you come here, it's come to a backyard party, live music, and you get to enjoy and experience a really healthy, clean, green beer at a really fair price. So yeah, that's kind of the story. And I think this is a really great place to do it because California, we are very progressive in how we think. You go east of California and you'll see people doing things that started here. Like surfing companies have changed their motto to be board sports or board clothing. And no matter where you are, you're going to see Quicksilver. You're going to see all these brand names that start with surfing and it's the beach lifestyle, and it just trickles down. So whether people want to admit it or not, they do want to adopt some of this California lifestyle wherever they live. And what better place to kind of start an organic craft beer movement than in California, which is a very big agricultural focused state.
Right. Especially our area in general, right? We have a lot of agriculture around. I live in Oxnard, so we're, a lot of ag around here. And I agree with your anecdotal evidence that not necessarily because of the beer, but my family, about 6-7 years ago, we started doing a large majority of our food is organic, and we understand the importance of, it's important to know what you put inside your body. And we do, and again, you can say it's anecdotal, we do feel a difference on what kind of food we eat in general. So I can see the need for, everyone likes beer, so you need something in that category of what you consume to keep your diet as organic as you can. So I understand where you're coming from. Now, because you're organic, does that limit you in the types of beers that you can make, or are you pretty much able to brew whatever kind of beer your customer wants to drink?
When I started this venture, just the concept anyways, back in 2008, so we opened in 2017. So maybe around 2010 is when I started the business plan and researching. And there was probably like 4 different varieties of organic hops available. There wasn't a whole lot. And the grains was very limited as well. Now we have a lot more varieties of organic hops, organic grains as well, which is really exciting because that farmer to do a transition from conventional to organic takes between 3 to 5 years. And during that transitional period, they still have to use organic practices. So they're essentially taking a massive risk 3 to 5 years before they even know if that hop plant's going to take off in the industry or if any of us are going to be around that wants it. We can make pretty much any beer that we want. It's, do we have access to the same hops? Like right now, come on, you throw Citra in a beer, it'll sell like crack. You throw Mosaic in a beer, crack. Maybe Ukanok and Galaxy, maybe not, depending on the blend. But Citra, Mosaic, it's gold rush.
Right.
And we don't have access to those. So we have to think about how do we make a really good IPA, whether it's a hazy or a West Coast style, and blend what hops we have to get a flavor profile that is unique, but still really enjoyable. And it's been quite the journey for us in particular. COVID has been challenging because we were shut down 3 times last year. But it was also kind of a blessing in that it stopped us and everyone, unfortunately, but it stopped us in our tracks and gave us the time to think, is this really the quality of the beer that we want to release? If not, how do we fix it? Whereas previously, you're just that daily grind, trying to get more revenue, bring on more people on the team, and so on and so forth. And you think, well, this is kind of moving, let's just keep going with it. But once you get the time to pause and have the beer and really kind of break it down on its flavor profile, it's like, are you happy with this or not? No, how do we fix it? And so our West Coast IPA V-Town, we've tweaked that thing at least 4 times since COVID started. And now we've concluded that, hey, we're not filtering it. We're double dry hopping. We've changed things around. We're allowing the beer a little bit more time to do what it needs to do without fear that it's going to get really dry and unpleasant. And the result is a beer that's very clean, crisp, nice bite up front, and then just wonderful juicy orange and mango all the way to the finish. It's like, geez, if I only thought about this 2 years ago, not just last year.
Yeah. Like you said, you were forced to have the time to do it now. So at least you have one silver lining coming out of what's been going on.
Yeah.
So you're in a pretty busy, popular area, Main Street, and then you have, not this year, but usually have the fair around. So a lot of stuff happens around your area. You also have a couple of other breweries in the area. You think that's good for you because you have more beer people there, or would you rather be like off by yourself somewhere without all the other beer people around you?
So that's actually a good question, because where we are on the corner of Thompson and Chestnut downtown is bloody expensive. Rent's just insane. And so we pay a downtown rent, but we're essentially 2 blocks from downtown. So it's really hard to bring people down here if there's things going on. So sometimes I've wondered, like, geez, wouldn't it have been better to have it in a more industrial area? But if you've been to the tasting room, it's a pretty dope building. This building was built in 1930. The brick sheds every day. It's that old. And we've been able to turn into a really cool place for people to hang out, like the coffee shop of tasting rooms, but with live music. I mean, it was a massive, back in the day, you just have parties every night with live music, and it's just fun to hear people talking and laughter. I do think that Ventura is very different now than it was when we started our build out. The park across the street has gotten a lot more cleaned up thanks to the city's efforts. The Tacos and Tequila and the Craft Beer Fest has grown to the point where now they go to the harbor or the pier. We do have 6 breweries total here. We have Made West on the pier, Transmissions 3 blocks west of us. East of us. And then west of us, you have Anacapa, Ventura Coast, and Topa Topa. So total 6 of us. And I think that's a good allure to bring people in from other cities who literally just want to walk around or bike around a cool beach town and hit up all these little breweries, and then maybe go get some pizza at Fluid State, or maybe some steak at Winchester's, wherever. We're not a big downtown. I mean, we could totally fit in Santa Barbara's funk zone if we wanted to. There's a lot of, downtown's about 3 by 5, and some of that isn't even hospitality or nightlife type stuff. So I do think that's good, but also we had the Thomas fire 3 years ago, right? And that changed the landscape, both physically, tons of homes got burnt, and demographically, a lot of people lost their homes and they left. And then we had the Woolsey fire, and Southern Ventura, Northern LA got the beat down of their life. And so now we're finding there's a lot of development projects going on that had been in the planning stage, but no one ever pulled the trigger until recently. And that's going to bring in a lot more people downtown. And I'm excited for the change, because there's a lot of us that are here that want more local traffic. Ventura is a very tourist-centric town, and during the summer months, it's great, but during the winter months, it's just like lean eating, if you will. And you bring in a lot more people, you bring in different mindsets and whatnot. I think for downtown Ventura, we could not handle another brewery. I think we're pretty saturated for breweries in downtown Ventura, and Ventura as a city, I think we're pretty saturated. But I think the customer is going to come in and they're going to really dig the scene and the vibe that we're all trying to make. And we all know each other. If we have problems, we can drop each other a line or whatnot, and then we'll pick up the phone, go, hey, what's going on? How can I help you? So all that camaraderie is good, even though we're literally competing for shelf space and tap panel space and whatnot. I think now is a really good time to be in Ventura because of how there have been so many breweries come in and everyone's doing their own take. I mean, we even have Flying Embers on the industrial side of town making their organic seltzers, and now they're making pre-probiotic beer, which that'll be interesting. Nonetheless, I do think that there are a lot of good things coming in for Ventura after the Thomas fire, the Woolsey fire, the pandemic. What it will look like, I don't know, just because we have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
We're rolling out vaccines and all that looks good. We can now operate indoors, which is a blessing.
Right.
And businesses are no longer limited to a closure of 10 or 11. It's based on whatever their permit is, which is good. We're slowly going back to an old normal, but whatever we're going to call the new normal is going to look a little different. And I'm not necessarily sure when the fair will be able to resume again. I was just talking last night to the founders of the single fin, one win, one fin longboard competition, and about their plans to bring a lot of professional longboarders and hold a old school or resume this old school competition they started 2 years ago. They were only able to pull one off, and then COVID hit. They weren't able to do last year. And just listening to them about how to put together a surf contest just a couple blocks from now is amazing, because COVID still dictates what you can and can't do. And I mean, sometimes I ask myself, when are we going to be okay, no mask next to someone that you don't even know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because we all take this differently. We've just yesterday alone had people who sit at the bar, and 5 minutes later, after wanking for months, I can't wait to sit at the bar, they went outside, and I was like, what's going on? Like, oh, we'd rather be outside. Okay, we're still there. I get it. We want to be outside. So it's really, it's exciting. And I try not to think about it too much, because after you get shut down 3 times for a virus that you have no control over, you just wonder, like, all right, is this my last weekend open? Are we going to be shut down on Monday? You just kind of take it. I have these long-term goals, but I don't put a lot of stock into it until I know that we can really execute, because you have no idea. It's more like you're still hand to mouth every day. And I'm sure it's not just us. I suspect a lot of people just are living that way because we have no idea. Are you going to go back to work? Are they going to lay you off in 2 months? What's the preference going to be? We don't even know when people are going to actually be able to resume back to work in their professional offices. And it's really interesting.
Yeah, I'll say that for sure. I feel the same way as those people that changed their mind about where they wanted to sit. It's going to be a while before everyone feels comfortable going back. Even when somebody gives the all clear, it's going to be a while before everyone's like, I'm going to, test it out a little bit, let everyone else go out and see what happens. But people are resilient, and I'm sure everyone will bounce back sooner than they think, hopefully. So anyway, speaking of beer,
I was going to ask.
Yeah. So actually down the street, 1 block up from my house, there's the liquor store that has their beer cave. So I went in yesterday and got your Belgian Golden Strong Ale. So can you walk us through, I guess, what you were thinking when you made it, what you're wanting everyone to taste when they drink it?
So that beer, Belgian Golden Strongs are very, the history of the Belgian Golden Strong is really super cool. And it's one of those things that exemplifies kind of like how badass Belgian brewers are and Belgian beer in general. Mm-hmm. So Mortgott Brewery owns the Duvel brand. And it's like the classic idea of what a Belgian beer is. During World War II, while the Germans lost, their beer just took over and dominated the world, and everyone wanted lagers. And this brewery was having a hard time selling their flagship lines, Merit Suit 6, 8, 10, because everyone was going to a lighter colored beers. So they said, screw it, we're just going to make our version of a lager. And they literally took a beer that was about 9% alcohol and just used Pilsner malt, very light colored malts, made a very light colored beer, load up barrels on the back of a cart, and took it tavern and tavern and tavern, and had everyone taste it. And they were saying, hey, this is one double of a beer. What do you call it? Well, double in Flemish, I believe, is duvel. And after this tour of tastings, if you will, they go back to the brewery and like, well, we're going to call this duvel because everyone's saying this is one double of a beer. And that is the birth of the beer style, the Belgian Golden Strong. Now, it is typically a very dry, crisp beer. I train my staff. A Belgian Golden Strong is like the champagne of beer, whereas the Belgian Triple is more like the Chardonnay of beer. And for us, I like tropical fruit notes. So Nose Rider was supposed to be pineapple and some citrus, classic little funkiness. It's a very simple grain bill. We actually partnered up with Admiral Maltings, which is the only California-based malting company that has California-grown certified organic malt. We use one of their malts. It adds like this honey note, and use that. We do not have access to the same hops one would use for doing a Belgian style beer because they're not available organically. So we use some modern American hops, did a little dry hopping to give a lot of this pineapple and tropical fruit flavors to blend in with the yeast. We ferment very, very hot to pull out a lot more esters from the yeast. And I haven't had that beer in a long time, but I will tell you, we will be rebrewing that in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And we're swapping out the hops. We got some new hop contracts that are described in a way that I think would be really beautiful in this beer, and we're going to give it a go. It's 8.7. Yeah. It's produced, so anyone with celiac, gluten allergy, or a food intolerance to gluten can drink it and be safe. And it's a super crushable beer. How's it taste?
Tastes sweet and dry. Tastes it's definitely some tropical. No, and even for being 8, and it does taste. Now that you say it, it does taste a little champagne-y.
Yeah.
For being 8, it doesn't punch you in the face with, hey, I'm an 8.7% alcohol beer. And we're going to test your theory on how you feel the next day using this one, because I have the cousins in the refrigerator. So
nice. So the hallmark of a really good beer, no matter the strength, is the fact that you don't taste the alcohol. When you start to taste or smell heat, it's solvency. It's a fermentation profile that went out of temperature range, and the yeast were really stressed out. And Belgian beers are classically strong, and you don't taste the alcohol. So kudos off. Quite possibly some of the best brewers ever known to man, and almost all of them start off as monks. So
you got to pass the time somehow, I guess, right? So
yeah, and they didn't judge. We don't judge. We just enjoy.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
So here's the can. There's the Nose Rider. I would tell you my kids like collecting can art. So I peel them off the can and they stick them in their sticker books. So we'll see who fights over this one. You said it's low gluten. Do you get a lot of people that say, hey, I wasn't a beer drinker before, but because you have this available, I'd like to try it, and then now I'm a beer drinker of your beers?
So yes, that beer in particular has been a beer when people come in and say, hey, do you have ciders with no. And then we quickly want to find out if they drink ciders because of gluten issues or just preferential. And if it's just preferential, well, it doesn't matter. That beer is gluten reduced. So either which way, once we figure out what it is, we can either assuage their fears that, hey, this has no gluten in it, you're safe. But either which way, it's like, hey, if you like pineapple, you're going to love this beer. And we've had people say, you know, I don't drink beer, but I like this. I'll have another one and another one. We've had people come in who say, geez, I got diagnosed as celiac or gluten intolerant, or it's a food allergy, and I haven't had beer for years. And now I can drink. And it's like a game changer. I mean, I've seen people cry because they could drink beer again. It's like, wow, okay. It's cool because one, they could drink beer again, and it's organic beer. So really, we're just casting our net as wide as we can to give as many people the opportunity to fall in love with organic beer, and then hopefully help that transition at some point in time to choose organic when they go grocery shopping.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now I'm going to hand it over to you. Let everyone know, like, where they can find you, where you're located, where they can, like this one, where they can find you in town if they're around Ventura, Oxnard, Santa Barbara, or whatever you put your beer. But let everyone know where they can find you and where they can go have your beer.
Cool. Yeah. So our website's leashlessbrewing.com, like .com.
Yeah.
And on there you have like a beer finder. We've got cans in Bevmos, grocery stores and chain stores between Isla Vista and Canoga Park. We have draft accounts between Isla Vista and Woodland Hills. So if you go on that website, you can either order beer for shipping in California or pick up here at the brewery, or you could just see where we've got beer poured. If you're by it, you can go enjoy it.
I would say you have a pretty good interactive map here on your website.
Oh, thanks.
Where you can go and anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I just thought it was pretty cool that you have the map that's pretty up to date and interactive. So go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, if you go on our website, you'll find out we're not really updating music. We're not updating any live events because one, it's COVID. I mean, we have a guy doing all of our bookings for us right now. A friend of ours is doing a great job, and he books 2 months out in advance. But I tell him all the time, like, hey, Randy, it's touch and go, dude. We could be shut down anytime. So just make sure that everyone you talk to and book knows that at any time we could be shut down again. And sorry, but it's just life and COVID. So we don't really put a whole lot of stock into telling people what's going on. So really, you just have to show up to the brewery. We do have live music Thursday through Sunday, and we're located downtown Ventura, corner of Thompson and Chestnut. Not hard to find because downtown's really small. But we do have live music coming in, and you're guaranteed to have a good time. Just come early because right now with COVID, everyone has to be seated. It's one of those things that hasn't changed. So if we don't have a place for you to sit, you can't hang out, enjoy the music, and drink some good beer.
So social media, you have Facebook, Instagram. It's all Leashless Brewing. Leashless.
Yeah, Leashless Brewing is the handle for Instagram and Facebook. We do have a Twitter account, but we don't really tweet.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Try and keep it simple and just really promote like the word of mouth, kind of like the old school style of marketing. I'm still very much an old school type of guy. And I mean, it works when it works and it doesn't when it doesn't.
Yeah. Cool. Well, again, thank you for your time. Maybe when you have the nose rider of a brew again, I'll stop by and see if I can taste the difference between the can and the draft. So if there's nothing else you want to say, thanks for stopping by, and I will I guess talk to you when I stop by the tasting room.
Sounds good, Andres. I appreciate the time and the invitation.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Thanks, you too. Cheers, everyone.
So there you go, guys. Leashless Brewing in Ventura, California. That area of Ventura is pretty unique as it has lots of stuff to do, lots of other breweries and places to eat. So go check them out. You can actually make a whole evening of it. Anyway, like and subscribe, share with your buddies. If you know someone that should be interviewed on the show, tag them. forward them this video. My goal is to interview every brewery in Ventura County and, you know, outlying areas if the interest is there. So tag them, talk to them, and I will make every effort to get a message to them to schedule an interview and have it up on the channel. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you guys next time.